Welcome to another amazing episode of ZoeTV.
Yes.
We are so excited for this show.
Very excited.
We are going to be joined by two amazing people that are absolute rock stars here in the Valley. Our first guest is Valley legend, and this week navigates one of the biggest sporting events in the world. He is the tournament chairman for the 2021 Waste Management Phx Open. Scott Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us. I know your time is crazy, and we appreciate you jumping on for a few minutes with us.
Oh, happy to be here. Good to see you guys.
Awesome. I think it's for our residents important to give a little context and a little bio behind who Scott is, because he is a big figure here in the Valley, and I mean it's a long time coming for him to steer this ship. So basically, Scott assumed the role of tournament chairman after serving last year as the assistant chairman. Been a Thunderbird for a long time, but as this chairman of this tournament for 2020, 2021, Scott has steered the ship and guided the Thunderbirds in the planning and execution of every facet of the 2021 event, including the most important element in this season that we're in, security and safety. In addition to the position, Scott's day is completely full as he is partnered with the law firm of Quarles and Brady. And you know he's a good guy because he's a die-hard U of A fan.
Oh, that's
he's to be trusted, and every word that comes out of his mouth is honorable.
Okay.
He's an amazing baseball coach. I've coached with him and for him and against him, and he's an amazing father to two studs that are baseball, football, and just all of the above. So, again, Scott, thank you for giving us some time, man.
Yes.
Oh, you got it. Happy to be here. Super excited that we're 1 week away from the Open, but as you can imagine, things are pretty busy trying to pull off this year's event.
Well, and Scott, we've heard you on several different broadcasts. And so just to be clear, talk to us about what this is like this year. I mean, the pandemic has changed everything, and people know that. But what are you guys doing different? Or maybe what are you doing the same? So what's different this year?
Sure. Obviously, this year's been crazy, for everybody. It's touched all different facets of, how we live life and, events in particular. And so, really since the summer, we have a wonderful partnership with the PGA Tour. Our TPC Scottsdale is located in Scottsdale. So the city of Scottsdale have been great partners, forever with us. And so, really it's been just a roller coaster. Really no different than what we all see, especially in Arizona with the peaks and valleys with COVID. And all we've tried to do, we're known as the People's Open. It was always important for us to try to figure out a way to have people this year at the event. Unlike a lot of sports, and I think people don't really recognize that, whether it's the NFL or Major League Baseball or basketball, they have really big TV contracts, and that's where a bulk of their revenue comes from. Our revenue is really just from ticket sales and hospitality. So last year with the 2020 Open, we were able to raise $14 million for local charities. And so it was really important to us and to try to figure out how to have fans, try to figure out how to have hospitality so that we could support our community with charity dollars, whatever they may be or wherever we end up. And just going from $14 million to zero would have a devastating impact on the hundreds of charities that we support. So we set a course. We understood that it had to be fluid. We understood that it had to be flexible, and just trying to set plans in October or September to try to have 20,000 fans. Just wasn't realistic. We always knew we had to kind of see what the environment was in January, and kind of let that guide us with where we ended up with the tournament. So we've been anywhere from planning to have 25,000 fans to having zero fans. And so it's been a challenge from that standpoint that, I've had the lucky year to try to plan about 5 different variations of the Open versus the traditional one that we all know and love. And so, it's been a long year. It's been an exhausting year, but, I'm fortunate to have, my fellow Thunderbirds that help, as well as the best staff, and on the PGA Tour that have been doing this a very long time. And, there's a quote that I've kind of, that I heard pretty recently that I like to use now. you don't make relationships during tough times, you rely upon them. And we've definitely relied upon, our tremendous relationships with, whether it's the tour, waste management, Molson Coors. I mean, the list just goes on, and they've been there for us, as we've tried to get through this year.
Man, that's a great line. I think that can be put into everybody's perspective.
Everybody's perspective.
But I think
agree.
what you touched on led me to my next question. And the tournament is known, as you said, the People's Open. How different do you think this week will feel for players and the fans that are actually able to go, but the perspective of the players? Because I know they get juiced up on having the energy on 16 and having the energy throughout the entire course. And what do you think their perspective is coming into it, being that they had a little bit of it go through last season and experience it, but Phx Open's known for that, and Waste Management provides such that cool platform. What do you think their perspective will be?
I think it speaks volumes that we will end up having one of the best, if not the best, field we've ever had. We have 5 of the top 10 and about half of the top 50. So, I mean, their participation in them signing up speaks volumes about how they feel about it. From the standpoint of, I mean, they're used to 100,000 fans out there, but, for them, they haven't had fans really since the Houston Open before Thanksgiving, and that was only a couple thousand. So, to them, I think it's going to sound crazy, to have fans out there. I mean, they've been very clear with us that they want the fans back, and we just have to do it in a safe manner. And as far as the feel this year, I mean, it's going to be a different vibe. We love our social party atmosphere of a traditional year, but that's just not this year.
Right.
This is the year where, we have to be smart. We have to be safe. We have plenty of, whether it's the signage or just the social media messaging, hey, be safe, be smart. This is, if you're only looking for a partner, take a party this year, take a knee. This is not your year.
Right.
This is, we have to do this in a responsible manner. And it's scary at the same point. It's fulfilling that the PGA Tour is trusting us to sort of lead the way back, in 2021. Because I will tell you, most of the tournaments after us, are either coming out this week, including the executive team from the PGA Tour, including the commissioner. But there's a majority of the tournaments coming after us are out this week to see exactly, how we're doing and how we're doing this safe. Because most of them will have fans, starting with the Florida Swing in March, as well as the Masters, and then from there.
Wow. Well, on a personal note, we have to thank you because the Thunderbird Charities has supported us in our ZoeLife program. They were the ones responsible for helping us purchase a pool lift. So some of Steve's Parkinson's patients, and some residents that have never been able to be in the pool can now enjoy that. So thank you for that. And on that same note, I know you guys raise, like you said, $14 million that you give to charities every year. And I know that's a big part of what the heart of this tournament is. So how are you doing it this year with sponsorships? I mean, I know you don't know how much there will be, but how's it look this year?
Well, too early to tell. Obviously, we're not going to have the revenue-generating hospitality that we typically do. Last year, we had 28 venues. This year, we have 2. Now, naturally, with building 28 venues and 800,000 square feet of platform last year, we obviously don't have the same expenses that we would typically have. So, and that also just relying upon our partners, to help us on the expense side. And they've been great. They've worked with us every step of the way so that we could, do the best we can under the circumstances so that we can be in a position to write checks, come next year or later this year.
Absolutely. I think what's got to be fun for you is, a lot of your role is in the recruiting of players. And what I saw come through with Rory McIlroy committing and being his first time here, and it's kind of the icing on the cake, if you will, of getting so many, like you said, of the top 50 joining us, and that we're able to watch him, perform at the highest level at the courses that we all know, and a lot of our residents can remember playing. And I think that's the perspective that's so fun for our residents of, I went and saw Miller Barber in 1970 and play at this tournament, and to get the Rory categories in the high end of the world come here. I just think that it shows that this is such a big platform and goes beyond COVID, that they do trust you guys. And how's that experience of recruiting players and kind of walking them through the safety protocols that are in place and that not?
Yeah, I mean, so we, after the tournament, later this year, and it really started last year, just being in leadership, we have the opportunity to go to a number of different events. And it's part to steal ideas from other tournaments and bring them back here, but also to, meet players and spend time with agents and just make sure, that they know that we think of them and we don't take it for granted, that they come out and play our event. I think as far as our group with the relationships we have with the players on tour is really second to none, whether it's just the way that we take care of caddies. And, the other thing that's just a shift this year, I mean, on a given year, we end up, whether it's with first responders or different partners, I mean, when we were looking at the numbers, we typically give away between 15 to 20,000 tickets a day, at general admission passes. And that's, players, agents, and it's amazing this year. We obviously don't have the ability to do that. And we're actually charging the players, for guest passes, and they're 100% supportive. They have not pushed back at all. They're almost happy to write the checks this year because they know, in years past that we've always taken care of them and we'll do so in the future.
That's cool. That's cool. I absolutely love all your social media posts that have led us to the Open. And I think some of my favorite ones I watched was your interview with Padraig Harrington and him talking about punting the football and kicking a field goal on 16 and how he still has that photo up in his room. And how fun is it to get to conversate maybe for more than you've had in the past with the players and be able to talk to them at that level and bring that dynamic to us as fans?
Mm-hmm. It really started in the beginning of the quarantine where we had to figure out a way to connect with fans and be relevant, in some dark times, when we're all, stuck at home, in March and April. And, it really started with our in the community conversations where we met with, I think over 10 to 15 local charity partners and did interviews where, how can we help? How can people help, the U moms or boys and girls clubs of the world? And they had simple requests like blankets, or diapers and things like that. And we really, listen, as a practicing attorney, I'm pretty comfortable on conference calls and videos, but I mean, I didn't know what Zoom was, before March. Yeah. And it's just, that's the world we all found ourselves in. And so we tried to figure out a way to stay relevant, have, use Zoom, and really, credit to our staff for coming up with creative ways. And so it started with in the community programs and then continued on with like, hey, let's try to get some players on. Just to check in on them. And again, it's the relationship we have with them that anyone we asked to, they all said yes. Right. And to be able to, again, I'm a simple lawyer that coaches baseball on the weekends. And, here I am with Patty Harringtons of the world or Charlie Hoffman, Gary Woodlands, and really just, kind of playing sports reporter, interviewer, kind of what you guys are doing. And here are these superstars and I'm just average Joe asking questions and they couldn't have been better, and so I'm happy to hear that you liked him. Yeah, I did. That's not obviously something I do a ton of, but it was fun to connect and get to know them a little bit more than, the public persona of the players.
That's cool.
Well, I know we're kind of coming to the end, and we all agree COVID has been horrible. It has changed a lot of lives and a lot of deaths and things that have been heartbreaking, especially where we are. But we have found that people are finding some silver linings. Can you tell us any that you found through this?
So, my office is in downtown Phoenix, and I think I've been there 3 times in the last 6 months. Just quality time. This was going to be an extraordinarily busy year for me anyways, as I try to juggle the practice of law with, being a volunteer and running this golf tournament. It obviously took different shape, and I'd say it was probably 10 times the work, as I mentioned, playing in about 5 different variations of the tour. But, just the time that I got to spend with, my kids. I have as you mentioned before, I have a great team, at home, and just being able to spend that time with them, Been with my wife since freshman year of college at U of A. So I think she's probably ready for me to go back to the office. But I will say I've enjoyed my time with her. I don't know if it's reciprocated back. But yeah, just that time of, connecting. And I have a freshman in high school and, and a sixth grader, and it's not lost on me that time's ticking, as far as before he, sets his own path and takes off for college. So I think we'll look back at this, like you said, it's a heartbreaking year. It's a tough year. It's affected all of us, but like you said, there are some silver linings, that hopefully we just got closer as a family.
Awesome.
That's very cool. Well,
Yeah.
Scott, we appreciate you being on.
Yes.
I think you obviously are in the fire with what we at Phx claim is obviously it's such a big event, and
So
you've been a
fun.
part of it for a long time, but I know steering the ship, they couldn't have a better guy doing it. I know creating 5 or 6 scenarios was probably hard, but I think they have a lot to lean on going forward if other stuff come and other crises come, of looking back at what you and your team did to create different opportunities for sponsorships and keeping us all safe. We just appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you.
You got it. Thank you so much. And thanks for the support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right,
right.
thanks, Scotty.
Bye.
All right, we are so lucky to now be joined
I
by
know.
Brett Fischer, who is an
Yes.
absolute legend and pioneer in the physical therapy and athletic training community here in the Valley, but nationwide. Brett, I'm going to give a little intro to you so our residents kind of know who you are, because you're an amazing individual. You created the Fischer Institute in 1997. You're currently the staff physical therapist for their Arizona Cardinals. The Fischer Institute was named one of the top 20 physical therapy providers in the country, and you actually won a 2014 Sports Emmy
Wow.
for your work with the NFL and NFL Up program. I mean, that's incredible. Along with those accolades, though, your wife, who I'm sure you give a lot of your credit to,
Yes.
is our head concierge, and Stephanie holds so many hats for us, and in her heart for this community and our residents is so fun for us to watch. So we thank you for being here. We have so many questions for you and your world of COVID and the Cardinals and your relationship with Stephanie and our tie-in, and thanks for being here, man.
Well, great being here. I'm looking forward to the questions, so here we go.
All right. Well, and we do love Stephanie. She is a delight and always smiling. So
Yeah, she is.
So
I love her too.
Oh, good. Well,
Good
we
answer,
all
Brett.
agree on that. So we know from the senior living aspect how hard 2020 and 2021 is. But how has it been with you on the field, with the players, in your life? I know it's a big change in life. So how have you dealt with that?
It's been a unique situation for all of us. I think we all have our own journeys in this, right? We all have our own stories. And I was really, really blessed to have an opportunity to work for the Arizona Cardinals now for my 13th season.
Oh.
And we didn't know if we're going to be able to have this season. And there were so many people behind the scenes that took care of so many different things. We actually had a trailer full of nurses that we were tested every single day since July 14th. I was tested 191 times. And we had to fill out a form every day and hand it to a security guard, let us in the building. We had to get tested every day. The tests were flown by airplane immediately to Los Angeles. We had results by 3 a.m. the next day to allow us back in the building. And that was every single day. Days that we flew to the East Coast for games like that, we flew with nurses. And we got to the hotel, say 11 o'clock at night. We had to go down to a certain room and get tested. And those were shipped out immediately. So the NFL spent a lot of time, a lot of money to provide, us to have a season, but also for the fans to give them an outlet, because it's been such a hard time for people to be isolated, and to have a whole NFL season, to have it a Super Bowl here in 2 weeks is amazing. And there's just so many amazing people. What I think the biggest thing for me is seeing how the players were. Yeah. They were so unselfish in that they didn't go out to dinner, they didn't go to parties, they didn't do certain things. And a lot of them are single, but they didn't want to be the person that got COVID on the team. Now, we did have a few cases and everything like that, but they were very, very conscientious about everyone else on what they did. Now, with that said, I wore a mask every day, and the players wear a mask when they're in the buildings. When they're out in the field, they didn't have to. And then the NFL, halfway through the season, made it mandatory to have a mask and a shield. So I'm a little claustrophobic. So actually, this has helped me get over claustrophobia a little bit, because I had to wear both of those, and that gets kind of old. But it's been such a blessing to allow us, in the midst of all that's going on in our lives now, and do things that maybe with our families we didn't have time for. So it's been unique from that situation. I think the strangest thing for me is going out on the field with no fans. And the kickoff occurred. The first game against the 49ers, we kick off, and I felt like I was at practice. There was no one there. And we're down 10-0, and we're all going, this is a real game.
Wake up.
Guys, we got to play. We got to go.
Yeah.
Because there's no noise. You can hear the coaches on the other sideline. It was like, and then at halftime, I go in early and prepare hot packs and do things and make sure the players are, if they're stiff or they need some work. And I can hear our quarterback call out the cadence on the field in the locker room. But that's never happened. There's usually 75,000 people screaming. You don't hear anything.
Right.
And I'm hearing things I never heard before. So it was just like, really, really strange. But with that said, the things that we had to go through does not compare to what a lot of people across this world had to go through.
I think that perception is what is so interesting to us, because the NFL and all the sports out there give us such an outlet to just get our mind off of COVID and get our mind off everything that 2020 brought. And I was fortunate enough to actually get into a game against Miami when fans were allowed to come in, and I just enjoyed every aspect of getting in there. I mean, the hurdles of security and the way they kind of dinged you if you had. I tried to walk in with just a face like the gator, and they shut us down at the door, and I had to go back to my car, and then they had us in twos down the line, and I thought, it's so interesting to see how the NFL was able to navigate this. In other sports of the hockeys and the basketballs and the baseballs fell victim to so much of having to cancel. In the NFL, I don't think you guys ever lost a game. I know you guys had to push to having a Tuesday game and a Wednesday game, and things were up in the air, but I don't think you guys as an organization lost one game, no playoff games. So I think your perspective on that is so interesting. But from an NFL guy and what you're seeing, what was your homework and due diligence like working with baseball and basketball and some of the therapy providers on those teams? Did you learn, or did you take any of their best practice methods and incorporate it to your own?
Yeah, I think we did. Especially the NBA, we couldn't mimic the NBA because they were in a complete bubble, and that just wouldn't work in the NFL with all the different things. But one thing we did learn from them is contact tracing. So every day we had our own tracker, and that had to be on you at all times, the players included at practice and in the building. Wow. So you had a contact tracer, and we learned that from the NBA. And so if someone did come down with symptoms, they could immediately tell who was in contact with that person for the exact amount of seconds. So the NBA really helped us out with that. We used a company called OPK for the testing, who's done an amazing job flying it back every day. So it did help quite a bit. So I guess the big thing for me, and what I learned through this, which I want to talk a little more about for your residents, is there's so many things we couldn't control, right? But we do have some things we can control. And those are the things we got to focus on, right? Especially right now.
Right.
Yeah. That's great.
That is such a good point. And I know it's a different arena than what we're dealing with, but in some ways, ZoeLife and what you're doing is the same in the fact that fall prevention is huge. I mean, all your players fall, but I know that you guys work on how to best fall maybe. But tell us how your personal journey started, and how did you get to such an amazing position?
Wow. Always had a passion for sports. So coming out of Philadelphia, I wanted to go down to University of Alabama, University of Florida. I picked University of Florida. And I've been probably the most blessed people I've met along the way have helped me so much to give me guidance. And the first person was down there as our head trainer, and he just brought me on there and taught me how to be an athletic trainer for the Florida Gators. Our physical therapist, who then became the head therapist and trainer for Notre Dame for 25 years, he recommended I become a physical therapist at the same time. And he also got me into being a summer assistant for the New York Jets back in the 80s. Wow. So I look back on my career, and it's amazing how many people that God had put in my life to put there and guide me. It's so amazing. And from there, I was able to go to physical therapy school, get my degree. I went out there, and I also went to the PGA Tours, the head therapist of the PGA Tour, the senior PGA Tour, and worked with people like Arnold Palmer and Sonny Ballester. Amazing. Both of those guys were passed on, are both amazing men, and had that opportunity. And then from there, I went to Chicago Cubs and had a chance to work with Harry Carey, and got to be friends with Harry Carey and worked 3 seasons in Chicago. And I met Stephanie around that time as well. And I've just been so blessed. We left there. We had a house here in Phoenix, and really God put a vision more on Stephanie's heart than mine. And we opened up our own facility then. And there were so many miracles that happened right when we opened up. I knew it was God's hand to go and do this. And then during that time, the Cardinals asked me to come on as a staff physical therapist while I ran my facility. So it's been a huge blessing along the way. Back in 1998, God gave me an idea on the 60 freeway. I was driving and God gave me an idea. I pulled off to the freeway. I got to a Home Depot and I went to the trash can dolly area. I started rolling around the ground with this trash can. And I guess they saw me on the camera and thought I was drunk or stealing something. I don't know. But the manager came out and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "Me?" He goes, "Yeah, you." He goes, "You're rolling around." I go, "I'm a physical therapist. I'm just trying to," he goes, "just get out of here." Well, anyways, God gave me an idea for a product called the Ab Dolly, which we've sold now for 22 years. We sold over 1 million across the world. And it's helped people with their abdominals, their back, and everything else. So when I say I've been blessed, I really, really mean it.
Wow.
Man, that is a
amazing.
cool story.
Yes, thank you.
I've kind of been in the sports medicine world in the Valley, and I worked at St. Joe's with Mike Baston, and we have this speed program for peer acceleration. And I always had heard of Brett Fischer and working with so many pro athletes that you did, and I've just always enjoyed the professionalism that you have. And you've done such great work in the world of sports medicine and creating that Ab Dolly and working on the PGA Tour. And I think that the idea of holistic wellness, mind, body, spirit, is really where senior living is headed. And I think the idea of, we need our aging demographic to get stronger, and we need them to become more flexible, and we got to work on their hips and their core, but we got to turn their minds back on, and we got to get them cognitively engaged in the process of aging and how it can be a successful journey.
Yes.
And I think COVID has really enabled us to do things like this, use Zoom, use these platforms to really reach out to residents that could be isolated and depressed and anxiety ridden. And I think that everything you're doing, obviously a different demographic, but you're working with that next generation of seniors. And I think that the more open-minded physical therapists and docs that are going about it this way with the spiritual element, I think that baby boomers and the next generation after them even are going to be in such great shape.
Yes. Well, let's hope so.
Well, I know God has his hand on this conversation, because my 3 things I want to share today are exactly what you just said. I mean, it's amazing. So I got chills right now. So I appreciate that, because really, like you said best, it's what we can control. And there's 3 things we can control. We can control our mind, we can control our body, and we can control our spirit. When we go to the mind, let's talk about the mind, okay? Let's keep it busy. It could be puzzles. It could be crossword puzzles. It could be conversations that we have on Skype or on the telephone, whatever it may be. But I think the other thing, too, which is so important, that Charles Swindoll once said, he said this: life is 10% what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. So our mind dictates a lot of things, right?
Yes.
So we have to, like anything, like in professional sports, we have to train, right? But we got to train our brain, we got to train our body and our spirit every day. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
We have to be deliberate. And I think we need to focus on what's positive. So I heard recently a nice little saying. He said, every day, at the end of the day, 3 things. Pick something that you really liked about yourself today. It could be the smallest thing ever. It doesn't matter. Look good today, or you said hello to somebody or helped somebody out. Second thing, something that someone said to you or you saw from somebody else that did something for, and you could maybe somebody at the grocery store open a door for somebody. Think about what you saw today that was positive. And 3, was there anything that you saw that was beautiful? Was there anything that you admire? It could be a bird that was on your windowsill. Pick out 3 things every day that you think are positive. Trust me. We have this negative, you turn the TV on, and you can't watch it for very long because it's just flooding you with so many things from, politics and COVID and, crazy stuff, right? And we do need to be aware of our environment, but then we do need to feed our mind every single day, no matter what age we are, right?
Right.
Now, let's go mind, let's go body, right? Body. The key is this one word: move. Mm-hmm. Move. Movement is the key. Start walking, okay? If you can walk, just start walking. Find out somebody else who will want to walk with you. I know Stephanie has new walking partners, got a concierge, they're starting to walk more. So you can go down there and walk at concierge. But walking is such a great exercise. And just being able to move. And even if you want to put music on and dance to yourself, that's okay. But you want to move. And I always tell people like this: you want to move through 3 planes of motion. I'm very fortunate to travel to Asia quite a bit. And you go over there, you see the elderly, 60 and up, do a lot of movement, right? And I want to show you real quick, really simple. So you get motion you have. You want to stay within your balance zone. You don't want to get too far out where you feel like you're unbalanced, right? And you're going to go down and everything curls up. Oh, I lost my microphone.
That's right.
And then you want to go back and extend back and do that for about 30 seconds. And then you want to go to the side. And you want to go to the side. And you can do this seated, you can do it standing, right? So we have side to side, and then you can do rotational. Just nice and easy. You're just moving those joints through 3 planes of motion. That's how we live in this world. Right. We live in 3 planes of motion. And just simple little movement items like that gets you going a little bit. So I really encourage people now with your mind and your body to get going. And I know you guys have a great facility down there as far as fitness. Check that out, because you guys do a great job, hearing through Stephanie about how they can just build a program from the ground up and have a lot of fun. Because when you start doing that, your body feels so much better. And the Bible does say our body is a temple. Mm-hmm. And we do need to treat what God's given us with the Spirit. With COVID, I think Psalm 23 talks about, David wrote, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, right? But he had a key word there. The key word is he walked through the valley. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not designed to stay in the valley of COVID death.
Right.
If you're with God and you talk to God and you pray to God, he will lead us out of that valley. Now, there's times you feel like, I cannot even see the light out of this valley. But we have to trust our God. We have to, spend time with him to really trust him, to say, hey, this is a time in our life that we're going to walk through the valley of shadow of death. We're not going to stay there as people. And we're going to get to the other side. Yeah. And I really want people to understand that these are tough times. And there's people that you probably lost close to you. And there's time for all those things. Yes, we got to agree. We got to do that. But we're not going to stay in this time of darkness much longer.
Beautiful words, man.
Wow, thank you.
We appreciate it. We're going to do this again.
Awesome.
Promise me you'll come on with us again.
That sounds great.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks,
all
man.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.